Hey guys, Dark Humility here. Today we're going to be going over the hardcore Zealer on Project Diablo 2 for Season 2. You can catch me 7 days a week most of the time on my stream at www.twitch.tv/darkhumility. Alright guys, so first thing we're going to go over are the types of farms he is good at and what this character is built for. So this character is an extremely accomplished key farmer, arguably maybe the fastest type of key farmer in Project Diablo 2. The reason is that he has charge, he has vigor, with charge and vigor. He goes very fast in these non-teleport areas here. Teleport areas have less predictable spawns for the key bosses. The non-teleport areas, which are Bloodraven, Blood Witch the Wild, and Nilithok, have more predictable areas, and if you know how to find them using some of these map techniques I'll go over today, you can farm them very effectively on a Zeal pally. Zealer is also better than a lot of other choices like Holy Bolt for key farming because he does physical damage. A lot of these key bosses have a lot of health, and they also, in a lot of cases, have magic resistance. So it's very nice to have a strong physical damage character, especially with like Crushing Blow and Deadly Strike and other things to all the Ubers. But just to let you know, today, oh wow, a raid! Alright guys. Hello, Sky. Xana has launched an attack. You know, it's okay, we can have the notifications, it's fine. Alright, chat, spam the eyes of Xana in the chat for Mr. Sky 88.
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend.
Thank you, Spoko Dude, for the follow. Welcome to the Cult of Xana as well. Alright, guys. So, we're going to go over first the areas that he's strong in. Specifically, key farming and Ubers are his forte. Then we're going to go over maps. And then we're going to show you guys his stats, gear, and overall his skill overview, and just talk about like how he stacks up in general. And that will conclude our hardcore Zealer guide. We'll also go over like poverty options for gear. On hardcore Ubers though, I don't recommend poverty Ubers on hardcore in Project Diablo 2 for Season 2 at all, because they've nerfed Crushing Blows so much. So let's start it out here. Hey, thank you so much for the raid, Sky. Hope your stream went well. We're about to make a guide for the hardcore Zealer. Hope your stream went well, man. Found a Zod today and found a beautiful Paladin torch, so today's going pretty well. So, when you're looking for Bloodraven, you follow one of the paths. You'll notice that was Stony Field. Bloodraven is always going to be right next to the edge of the map, and if you find Stony Field, Bloodraven's going to be on the other side of the map, all the way on the other side. So notice how Bloodraven's right next to the edge of the map there, that's what we want. On the edge of the map right there, Bloodraven interest is usually very close to the edge. That'll tell you you're in Bloodraven's territory. Use Jouste and then jump in and Zeal. You can see with my Mercenary casting Amp, everything else, we do a ton of damage, it's crazy. She has a 1 in 3 chance to drop a key. In this season, you can't get double key drops, and there's no way to hork a key with a barb. So just straight up, it's 1 out of 3 when you kill a key boss. The next key boss that he's extremely good at, which is another one of those non-teleport key farms, is Miss Blood Witch the Wild. Yeah. What's up, dude? How you doing? In general, as you can see, if we charge a figure, it's going to be better. I don't always remember to use it though. And next time we do this boss, I'm going to talk about the map layout so you can know how to find her fairly quickly. Right now though, kind of just going to do it. Jump right in! Alright, she also didn't drop a key. Well, darn it. Not ideal. She drops the hate key though. Summoner drops the other H key, but you never know which direction an arcane summoner is. And as for the Countess, finding the tower on the edge of the Black Marsh map can be a lot of RNG. And of course, for Izual, it can be even hard to find the Plains of Despair with random maps. And it can also be a little bit challenging to find Izual when you're in the Plains of Despair, and it's a dangerous area, even more so maybe than Nilithok, especially since they fixed the bug snakes. I like to emphasize that it's not as dangerous as it used to be. So the way Halls of Pain works, if we're looking for Nilithok, which is the D key that he's really good at, we have 3 map configurations with 3 different warp locations. The warp is in the top left-hand corner of the map here, or I guess you could say the far north. Use Jouste here, jump right in. With the warp in that location is always going to be in the top middle of the map, right here, or you could also say the far east. Not really the far east though. Now finding Nilithok is important. So the way you find Nilithok is you'll notice there's no painting here, there's a painting here. It's that blue painting with the red eyes. There's a painting here, there's no painting on this wall though. There's a painting on this wall, there's no painting on this wall. There is a painting on this wall and a painting on this wall. When you have 2 paintings that are directly perpendicular or 90-degree angle, whatever you want to call it, you have Nilithok. And Nilithok is very easy on this character. Wow, I totally messed that up. Alright, GG. Good stuff in general. Did not drop a key either though, so the key bosses didn't drop a key this time. We'll do a few more examples of the key bosses, and we'll also now talk about like how to find Bloodwitch the Wild as well. So once again, follow the path. Charge is Vigor. If you put some extra points into Vigor, you can go even faster. I actually opted for putting a lot more points of Defiance to get the defense around 20,000, which is nice. Ah, charge lock. Make sure to weapon swap if you get put in charge lock, and weapon swap back. And then you joust right in. It's nice when you can wedge her up against her own monsters so she doesn't move around much. Notice, once again, Bloodraven was right next to the wall. This time I found it first. But in general, if you don't find it, just know it's on the other side of the map if you find an entrance that is not right next to the wall, so. Good stuff. We are not finding keys right now, though. I feel like we should find at least 1 key in this demo. Jeez. Hello? Dual Dream? Nope, no dreams. It's a jaw nowadays. Dual Dream, Enigma. Yeah, pretty much stuff like that. Alright, so let's explain Bloodwitch the Wild. So, the warp is always straight ahead from the entrance here into Halls of the Dead from Halls of the Dead 1. So it's always straight ahead there. It's always a straight... It's pretty much a straight line. This tile points this way, this tile points this way. Halls of the Dead 3 is always going to be to the left. If not directly to the left, it's going to be some kind of west-facing tile from the entrance. It's always going to be an east-facing tile from the warp. It could be behind the warp in some cases. It can go all the way around to the back, but it's still an east-facing tile. In this case, it is an east-facing tile, and it's directly to the east, which is nice. Halls of the Dead 3. In order to destroy Bloodwitch the Wild for H keys quickly, you're going to want to go, once again, you're going to want to find a west-facing tile. Normally it's going to be directly to the west, but it might be up and to the west. It might even be behind and to the west. Once again, since it's the entrances are always to the west, and for the warp it's to the east. And once again, there you go. Look at that, what do you know? Now sometimes, I should mention something about this key boss. Ah yes, there we go. That's what we want to see in a good demo. We want to see a key drop, right? Right! And remember, you can keep your keys on you to stack your keys. So, If you pick up the key, they auto stack, so keeping your keys on you when you're farming keys is nice. One thing to mention about Blood Witch the Wild is there's a bug that causes her sometimes not to spawn in the location where the cube is, which is where she always spawns. That's just a bug that just makes it a little more frustrating to farm her. I guess that's the one advantage Summoner has over her. If you farm Summoner with a Sorceress where you can teleport, it's a good thing. Yeah. I don't know. Overall, though, this is way faster. The predictable monster locations, though, are super nice for a Zealer. And being able to charge as fast as I can is pretty insane. That's a much better Jouste that time. Bam. GG. So just to go over the Nilaflock map again real quick. He did not drop a key, though. Oh, wow. Why did I go there? We actually had the same map as last time. Notice that there's 3 configurations, and this is the exact same one as last time. It's always in the same location if it's in the top left here. Always. Now I'm just going to go back in there real quick to show you guys. Once again, you got a Nilaflock with the 2 paintings right in the same spot. So it was in the same side this time, but that's not always the case. So painting here and painting here. No painting here, blah blah blah. Alright, you get the idea. So let's do one more key run with all of them, and if I can get all the map configurations on Nilly, I will, and then we'll go into mini Ubers. So he is an all-purpose key farmer Uber killer, but he also does pretty well in maps. Just before this video, we actually got our Paladin torch, so that's actually going to make some of this a little bit safer, which is good. It's definitely a little sketchy, some of this. Alright, so I knew this was the burial grounds because whenever you get an exit right here and it's right up against that wall, you know that this wall is right here. So notice, this is pretty close to the wall, but it's not as close as some of those other burial grounds entrances are. So that's good. Alright, let's see if she drops us a key this time. Nope, she's being a pill. Alright, Vigor also helps you move through town. I really recommend that 1 point of Vigor for sure. Alright, once again, this tile is pointing this way. So we're going in the direction it's pointing right now, and now we're going to the east. Or to the right of that warp. This is going to be the correct direction. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be directly to the east or directly to the right. There's some nasty orbs in here. Might be all the way over here and to the right. Looks like it is. Pretty gnarly map. Also notice it's to the left of the entrance tile for the entrance. It's always going to be like that, or to the west. Now this time it's pointing this way, so it always points straight ahead if you get like one of these box formations around the entrance. It's always pointing that way. So we're going to go to the west. It might be directly to the west, it might be behind to the west, it could be in front and to the west, but it's somewhere to the west. Normally you want to try just the most direct route first, because that's usually going to be correct. Sure enough, it is. Alright, only 1 key so far in this demo. Not looking like 1 out of 3, is it? That's RNG for you. But trust, it is 1 out of 3. Sometimes you get bad luck, sometimes you get better luck. Alright, so this is one of the other Nilaflock map configurations. So now it's spawned in the far east, or in the top right, whatever you want to call it here. So this is our warp. This is our second warp location in the Halls of Pain. That means you go all the way straight down. So all you gotta do for this one is go down. That's it. And what do you know? It's straight down. It's literally... it's pretty much just a little bit to the left and straight down. It's always right here. Alright, no painting there, painting there, painting there, no painting there. No painting there, painting there. Painting there, painting there. Sweet. This is Nilithok. And he dropped a D key. Sweet. Very nice. Alright, and let's see if we can find the final Nilithok configuration now. Okay. We did. Nice. Yeah, that's lucky right there. Alright, so right here we have Halls of Pain. Sweet. So we got Halls of Pain there. All set to go. So we got it right around those pillars. So when you see this and when it spawns kind of in the middle of the map, it's all the way to the west or to the bottom left. So you have to go all the way over here. So we got our last configuration here for Halls of Pain. And now it's exactly where it is. Painting there, painting there. Alright, well, that's easy. Time to go kill Nilithok. Jumping like a boss. Smash this. And he dropped another key. Excellent. Alright. Like I said, RNG, I mean, that's 1 out of 3, right? So we just got 2 in a row from him. I mean, that's just how it works. RNG's a weird beast. Alright. It's a weird beast, for sure. Alright, chat, so we just went over all of the key farming methods and key farming bosses. This is, I would arguably say, like, the best key farmer in the game. Frenzy Barb is also high up there on the tiers, and so is, like, Fury Druid, or Fury, or Wolf Barb. Anything that can move very quickly and take advantage of move speed buffs. Burst of Speed Sin with Vigor Aura, Act 1 Mercenary. If you can really pump that Vigor Aura, you can also do that on a lot of other types of characters as well. Charge is just so insanely fast when you combine it with Vigor, though. And it's a very strong, very effective farm, and it's not dangerous because you're super tanky. Alright. So, now, let's go over the Uber bosses. So for this, I'm actually going to change out my gear slightly here. Oh yeah, that's not the right one for that. So I'm actually going to use Soul Drainers now. These bosses have a lot of physical resistance. These aren't even very good Soul Drainers. I actually recommend getting better Soul Drainers than this, but it's pretty budget Soul Drainers. I mean, I kind of just... I bricked my first ones, so this is all I kind of have. I traded for some janky ones, and it's going to work out. Maybe at some point I'll definitely make sure to... I'm already working on getting that upgrade, so don't worry. No problemo. Alright, so in order to make the Uber portals, make sure you have at least one of each key in the cube. If you make all 3 in a game, you will have one of each. Make sure to make them in different locations because they can stack on each other in some cases, which is not good because it makes it hard to enter the portal. Also, if you make more than 3 in a game, it's not good either because then you'll be wasting your keys because you won't make a new Matron's Den. There's no such thing as 2 Matron's Dens in one game, so make sure you make a maximum of 3 portals and make sure to spread them out. This also goes for LOD, so... of course, you can have them stacked and the cube will know what to do, so you just press Transmute. Forgotten Sands. Alright, we're going to do all 3 of these just to kind of show you each of these fights here with this character. This one drops Bale's Eye. The organs in PD2 also have a 1/3 drop rate. They spawn randomly in the areas, so there's not really a way to find them, quote unquote. Luckily, the areas aren't enormous, so it's not a big deal. Gonna make my Blood Golem maybe just to tank an extra shot here. Blood Golem is on death. And as you can see, if you get that Might, Aura and that Amp and all that Deadly Strike, my Mercenary is casting my Amp, which is a little bit of a weakness for the final Ubers, which I'll explain soon. There's definitely maybe a slightly better gear setup for this, which I've already figured out. I'll explain some of the gear that we're still lacking. I mean, this is still pretty much in the beginning of the season, so I definitely don't have everything. I don't have everything for any of my characters yet. Nice to get some better stuff, though. Alright, so there's Duriel. Duriel spawned. Pretty solid location, I guess. Alright, HVAC. Okay. What's up, man? How you doing? How goes our Zeal boy? He's doing good, especially now we have an awesome P2 on him. Alright, guys, so this fight's a little annoying. He has Holy Freeze. There's actually no way to get rid of his Holy Freeze. You're frozen no matter what. If you get a ton of attack speed on a Zealer, you could actually override his Holy Freeze, but otherwise it's just going to be a little bit slower. Soul Drainer's giving me that negative res, got some Crushing Blow, which gets us through at least his first third of his health. The Merc procs Amp, though, we get a lot of damage on him. We're definitely going to want to take advantage of that for the final Ubers as well, which is why I keep reviving my Mercenary. Overall, it's pretty good stuff, though. Alright, drop an eye! Okay, he did not drop an eye. That's disappointing.
Hello.
Be nice if they drop organs so that we can do more torches, but you know. RNG hasn't been super fair to me in that regard this season yet, but that's okay. The rune RNG is making up for it. Alright, so we're gonna just... Normally, the strategy I would say would be if you get either Duriel or Izual, you want to save and exit and just make it one portal at a time. Why? Because Matron's Den is definitely the most dangerous map. It's the most frustrating one. And also, Lilith is usually going to be the most dangerous of these Uber bosses. So, normally if I get this, I would have already saved and exited. But we're not going to do that because I'm just going to kind of demo, like, you know, the killing of all three of them, just to show you guys how that works. Sometimes you will get Matron's Den first. If you do get Matron's Den first, the strategy is to make all three portals in the same room. That way you're minimizing your encounters with Lilith. That is how to do it. One thing to note is that for the final Ubers, which are how you get your torch once you kill all three of them, they drop a torch and a standard of heroes. They can also drop black soul stones for Diablo clone, which is one of the components to the D-clone recipe. You actually don't need any specific organs, like an LOD. So you can use an eye, and a brain. You could use a brain, an eye, and a horn. You could use 3 horns. You could use 3 eyes. The game doesn't care in PD2. And he also didn't drop an organ. Nice. Come on, game! Help me out here. That's okay. Looks like it's back to key farming for me after 2 more Uber rounds today. That's all that means. Alright, so... now we're going to make the last one. This is Matron's Den. This is by far the most dangerous one. I might need some concentration for this, but hopefully it works out just fine. Don't... respect the auras in here, and if you're amped, I recommend taking the amp off of you. I really like my Crown of Ages because it kind of reduces that amp duration, so you don't have to worry about it as much. But if you go in here with amp and there's auras, it's super dangerous. If you're playing hardcore, what's going to kill you in here is amp and auras, so... yeah, it's no joke. It's no joke at all. No joke at all. Also, I think did we use Demon Limb in here? I don't know if I did. One thing I should explain is before you kill Uber bosses, Demon Limb is really nice. Gives you a nice, like, 3,000 to 4,000 AR boost and also gives you some fire damage. Normally it'll last the entire duration of killing the Ubers, but if you do the mini Ubers and the Tristram in the same game, you might want to refresh it before Tristram. Alright, here we go. Got a bow here. Make some random golem. Alright. so as you can see, there's a lot of bird-like enemies in here. These are very dangerous. This is why you die in the Matrix. So right now I'm amped, so I'm conscious of that. Notice how much damage that he did when I was amped. Imagine if he had an aura. That's what I'm looking out for now. If I see an aura with this setup, I'm not gonna go. But these birds auto-amp you, so it's kind of hard to keep the amp off of you. But just be kind of conscious of, like, what auras are in here. Like, if you see fanaticism and you see amp on your head, make sure you get it off of you before you engage the enemies, for sure. And even then, they're still gonna hit really hard, so... Monsters in here are no joke. They're definitely no joke in the other two, in Furnace of Pain or Forgotten Sands. But they're definitely no joke in here. Harpies are a very dangerous enemy type. If you don't have max block, they'll stack on you and kill you, like, faster than you can blink. Luckily, though... Alright, well, there she is. Alright, so what we kind of want to do is we want to lure her away from the amp bird so we're not amped while we're killing her. This one requires a little bit more thought and prep than killing the other ones. You can kind of just jump in and kill the other ones on this character. Alright. Alright. Mercenary got toasted. What do you know? So yeah, Mercenary does not like this boss at all. You can position him directly behind you. In some cases, you can get him like directly behind you and he'll survive, but it's hard. Which is why if you have amps somewhere on your gear, it can actually help you kill them a bit faster. But I'll explain that in the gear phase. So yeah, after we got this torch, like I'm sitting pretty pretty with the survivability now. Like it's feeling pretty good. This is feeling pretty nice. It's really hard for Lilith to kill me now. As long as I don't get amped, and as long as she doesn't have an aura on her, we're good. If so, she can still one-shot you with a crit, so be very careful. Otherwise, we're pretty damn tanky. You know, we got our DR. Solid stuff. Alright, Horde! Oh my goodness, she dropped one. Okay. GG. Well, there's a, you know, I kind of wanted at least one organ to drop to demo that they don't always drop, but they are actually dropping organs. You need those organs to make Uber Tristram, of course, so it's important stuff. Alright, so let's revive the Mercenary. You know, he doesn't like these Uber bosses. We're going to be reviving him a lot here in a second. In order to get those amp procs and other things to kind of speed it up. One thing to note is you can leave the Uber portal, and you can go in and out of the portal to heal and whatnot, and refill your potions and whatnot. Just make sure that they have open wounds applied to them, or some kind of prevent monster heal. My open wound source right now with this item is Gore Riders. So what we're going to do is we're going to change out some gear though. So for Mephisto, you need flat swords somewhere. I recommend T-Gods. T-Gods is the easiest spot to put it. Gives maximum light res too. So with this I have 84 lightning res, and I also have, well, that plus 4. I have 84 lightning res, and I also have 8 flat sword. That means with his strongest attack, he's not going to be able to do much. The key against the final Uber bosses is to have stacked res. You don't really have to worry about stacked res. DR is more important than anything else. Let's make sure your res is good. It's max and whatnot, but you don't need stacked res until you get to the final Ubers. Now, one thing to note is that Bale casts lower res. Mephisto has conviction. You're going to want to spread the Ubers. You're going to want to leash them. Specifically, leashing Mephisto is usually the easiest to do because he moves very fast and he runs at you. The other ones kind of hang around, and sometimes they run at you, sometimes they teleport, but because of their programming, they're not as likely to run at you, so it's usually easiest to leash Mephisto first. So I'm going to prep my gear for Mephisto. Notice that my light res is stacked. This is too much stacked. You only need 50 res past your max res, and you'll be fine. You just need 50 res past that max res, so overall it's looking pretty good for us right now. Good stuff. Once you have 50 res past that max res, you are good to go against them. Now I am going to, because we have strength there, I'm actually going to put on this ring here. And looks like we're still like 2 res short. Interesting. Yeah, I think you want at least 125 fire res here, ideally. But whatever. Looks like I oopsed on 2 res. It's too bad this torch didn't roll 2 more res. But it should be okay. It just means that his fire mazes will hurt a little bit more, but it's not going to matter that much. I will show all of the gear at the end, at the end of this demo video. Don't worry, we will do it. So we want Soul Drainers against Mephisto. We want... By the way, I'm going to stack some potions in here. I think that's also smart to do, by the way. Shift, right click, all these potions in there. Sweet. Weapon is a death. I tested out Stone Crusher, and you really need a really strong Stone Crusher. Otherwise, it's not going to really help. It's a little disappointing, but it's true. Alright, so let's put the organs in here. Remember, it can take any combination. Actually, to prove that, I'm just going to cube up 3 Bale's Eyes. Alright. Bam. Alright, now we only have 2 Bale's Eyes. Look at that. Uber Tristram. Alright, so this is what we want. There's currently a glitch that causes us to exit the game sometimes when we go back to town, so let's hope that doesn't happen a lot. It might. If it does, well, oh well. You can also use life tap wands. You can do this on a lot of type of physical characters. I think with this character, life tap wands ended up being worse than not. But you'll notice though, my res though is very high. I have my stacked res. We're good to go. Also make him just because. And let's go find Trouble. Alright, so we found them. Usually they're stacked in one spot, randomly assorted around Tristram. They like the corners specifically. Sometimes they like the sides. Alright, so that's Mephisto. We're going to try to draw him away from the other ones. We don't want to get lower res by Bale. The same time we have Conviction under us, or there's no way without absurdly stacked resistances that we will survive this. We will die. And in hardcore, that's very important to understand. Alright. So, my mercenary is going to try to proc amp on him while I kill him. Uh-oh. So, I actually positioned him pretty well this time. Sometimes, if you charge into him, and then, like, walk a few paces forward, you might actually get him to the point to where the mercenary might get behind him, which is what you want. So the mercenary continues to stack amp against him. So we're actually getting a really good fight right here, because the mercenary is still alive. Wow, that is probably one of the best fights I've had against Mephisto so far with this gear setup this season. Great for a demo video. However, it can get messier. Sometimes you gotta go in and out, in and out. If the mercenary survives there right now with my current gear setup, he will amp him with the Ethgavel of Pain. And that's going to be exactly what you want, so. Good stuff there. Cool.
Good evening.
Glad to see that was such a smooth fight. Oftentimes it is not. 110%. What's up, the expert? How you doing? Alright, so the next fight we're gonna want to focus on is Bale and Diablo. So for Bale we can do Soul Drainers. However, for not Bale, for Diablo, we're going to need different items. Diablo does such an absurd amount of fire damage, and you can actually take advantage of his vampires by stacking a lot of Fire Sorb. I'm actually going to have no Life Leech though with this, which is not ideal. I think if you got maybe like a Life Leech Corruption Ravenfrost, you might be better off here. That's a very rare item. I don't have it yet. If I had a Life Leech Corruption Ravenfrost and Fire Sorb items, I feel like that would be the most ideal thing against Diablo. But what we're going to do first is we're going to go looking for Mr. Bale. I don't know if I still need to do that. Probably not. Alright. So, oh yeah, make sure you get your refresh your Holy Shield. So that hasn't been refreshed for a while. I'm going to try to get Bale first, just because if he lower reses me with Diablo on me, I could be toast very easily. And Bale and Diablo don't like, yeah, they don't like moving towards you. Okay, so there's Diablo. As you can see, I just took an absurd amount of damage because I'm not wearing my Diablo gear. Yeah, and that's very dangerous. Very dangerous. Okay.
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
He can smack your ass. So what we want is we want to try to get Bale over here. That would be ideal. Alright, sweet. That's what we want.
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken.
So, once again, Bale's the easiest. Honestly, Bale is really easy. He's pretty much as easy as the other Uber bosses that you had to fight to get into Uber Tristram. He's not the tough one. Mephisto can be annoying. Mephisto can kill you very easily if you don't have your stacked res. Mephisto also does a lot of damage, and his minions do a lot of damage. Bale is pretty easy though. Bale is not usually the challenging one. Alright, so Bale's down. We have still not found a single black soulstone from doing these. By the way, chat, do I have anyone that wants to help enter this game to help me transfer the torch at some point here? I think Ruthless was on. It's Fortitude. We'll talk about some things in a second. Alright, Diablo is uphill, alright? Diablo is a pain in the ass. We're gonna have no life leech at all, but that's okay. We're gonna rely on sword mostly, and potions. Why? Because, well, that's the best I can do right now. My gear's kind of janky. I don't have some of the extra life leech. I don't even have, like, Exile yet. You know, Exile Shaft Stop might be a better combination, especially for this fight. But, that being said, though, Diablo is uphill, 100%. We got our 10k Zeal, though. Alright, so Diablo, make sure for his laser you have Thunder Gods. Make sure you have max block. Make sure you have Sorb. Now, the Sorb's going to help us survive, actually. Once he gets enough Dark Lords on the field, we can actually heal faster than he can kill us. He's going to destroy the Mercenary, too. I wouldn't be too concerned about that, but I might have to go in and out of the portal to revive the Mercenary here and again, just to make it a little bit easier to get more damage out on him. He's a pain. He really is a pain. Hello, Poor. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Cult of Xander's Stay. So, this character... So, Diablo is by far most annoying one out of all of them. As you can see, doesn't really dick around. And what we want is for him to get more Dark Lords out on the field. That would be nice. Usually does more damage than this to me, so that's a good sign. More Dark Lords, Diablo! More! The Pit Lords help heal me too, by the way. They do. Wow.
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this one.
So you'll notice that there's 5 Dark Lords and they're healing me. He's not really able to kill me too easily like this. That's a feature, not a bug. We have our sword. We still have our crushing blow, but it's no longer doing anything. If my health drops below 1500, I'll use a Juve just because there's some quick moves you can do to kill me, but it's not too bad. Honestly, now that we've gotten the torch, this is looking a lot easier. Like, this is looking a lot sketchier without the torch. That fire mage is also helping me out here too. He's healing me too. Now he's got so many Fire Lords on the field. He's gonna heal us pretty well. Mac 11! Thank you so much for 6 months as a member of Zan's Attack Squad, the Ghost of the Machine, the Arcane Disciples. Yeah, the drop chance is 33%, that's correct. So, notice he has almost like 15, 20 Death Lords on the field. This is good. Notice that we're hardly taking any damage anymore. And when I do, I'd heal it all back up. Wow, this was like our smoothest fight yet, and I think it might have something to do with the torch, but it's also the fact that Mercenary got good positioning on Mephisto. That's ideal. Oh. Actually started taking some damage there. Damn, there's a freaking archer here now. From freaking Mephisto. He takes a long time to kill. What an annoying fight, am I right? Alright. He's down. And our reward drops. The whole reason we did all this key farming and organ farming is we want these right here. Alright, so who wants to help get the torch real quick? You want to get it reckless? I'm gonna need someone to help me pick up the torch, or pick up a torch. Okay. Come on, man, make it a video. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so... And before they one-shot me? Yeah, not likely. Unless I swap to my my offhand, and then yeah. If I swap to my offhand on accident, this is how dangerous hardcore is. If I just press the W button, look what will happen to me. Oh yeah, I'll be toast. Yeah, let me give you the game real quick. So yeah, it's not a joke at all. It's not a joke at all. Actually, is that the right password? No, it's not. Damn it. Wrong password. Okay, there you go. Alright, so that concludes the Uber portion of this tutorial here. We're going to ID the torch just for fun now. I mean, obviously I'm trying to get torches still, so this is going to help me out. This is not just for fun. You know, we can hopefully get a torch for one of the classes we're still missing. Barb, Sorceress, or Zon would be ideal. Especially Sorceress, that'd be nice. It's an expensive torch. Actually, you know what? Take my torch right here. Take this one. And then I'll just pick up this one, because I have to ID it anyway. Alright, so just hold on to that torch there. I'm going to transfer it in a second. And that's what I knew was going to happen. So this almost always happens after you kill the Ubers. I don't know why, there's a bug right now. So don't panic though, just make sure the game has been up for at least 2 minutes before you start messing around in the Ubers. The game is still up. The game doesn't actually drop, so it's kind of weird. Alright. I panicked the first time I saw it though, not gonna lie. It's like, no! My torch! Thought I got cheated, man. You know how it is though. Yeah, you remember last night? Huh? Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. Alright guys, so what we're gonna do here... Alright, so now guys, let's guess on the torch. So I'm gonna have my chat guess on the torch. Alright guys, Paladin, Sorceress, Druid, Sin, Necro, Barb, or Zon. Can also be 30 to 60 Vitality. 10 to 20 all res. Yeah, I highly recommend Hellmouth, by the way, for Diablo. Like, it helps a lot. But I'll go over some, like, more gear particularities. We're about to start the mapping phase here, and then we're going to go over the other stuff at the end. So you guys can see a couple of maps on this beast here. I do have to transfer some map materials. Do you happen to have any map rerolling orbs on you, by any chance? I don't know. Reckless! I mean, I have them on my other character. I just have to get them. I could try to build chat though. Thank you so much, Mac11, by the way, man. Hope you're doing well. Doing Ubers on hardcore Project Diablo 2 right now. We just finished. You got 1 million gold? Sweet. Can you buy a couple of Zacharium orbs? And do you have any like random jewels? That'd be nice too. Alright, let's go play the sound effect. Let's go reveal it. Alright, I'm gonna go Sorceress again, because I just want a Sorceress torch. If we get a duplicate, that's okay. We can sell it. We'll see what happens to this torch, though. I really hope it's one of those other classes I'm still missing. Let's do it. 30 to 60 Vitality. 10 to 20 res, one of the 7 classes. 50 Vitality, 15 all res Sword Torch. And there it is! Woo! Let's go! Dude, that's huge right there. It rolled really shitty resistances. It rolled medium energy and it rolled 56 vitality. Sorceress Torch. That's what we needed right there. That was the one that we needed the most. Damn. Talk about rigged just for the video, guys. Awesome. Awesome rigged right there. I'll take it. That is exactly what we still needed at 100%. We still need a Barb and a Zon Torch of some kind. I don't have a great Sin Torch, but that's okay. Still have one. Those are probably not the most expensive classes, so I think I might be fine maybe buying those in case we run into trouble. So that actually makes me very happy. Because now we don't have to buy a Sorceress Torch, at least unless we kill our Sorceress. That would be very bad. I need, 2 jewels, and I need some, oh yeah, 2 jewels, nice. And then I need, some Horadric orbs, some Horazon orbs. Do you have any Horazon orbs? That'd be nice. You gifted your say, Dasso. I haven't seen you for a while, man. What's up, Latreon? What's up, Kevlar? What's up, Isomer? Capusi? Plausible Lucidity, Fark, Fuzzy. Man, we had a lot of guesses. Who guessed closest, by the way? Zytric guessed pretty close with that Sorceress Torch guess there. Excuse got really close with the vitality on it, though. Yeah, what a monster. Sweet, streamer loot. Thank you.
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
I might need to buy a couple more there. Yeah, I might need like, I'm gonna go buy a couple more myself. I really don't want to eat into the gold before tomorrow when we do our crafting stream, but whatever. It's like the gold is a lost cause anyway. Alright, Horazon orbs, sweet. I'll pay for gold tomorrow if I run out, though. I'll pay chat for gold. You guys get me some gold, so tomorrow we have gold for crafting, alright? I'll pay for it. Alright, so let's go make a normal game real quick, and let's transfer this torch so that we can continue this demo. Toad 5, password 555 will be the game. Pick up the Sorcerer's Torch. If you want to help me out, Reckless, come to this game here. Pick up this torch, and then I'll pick up the other one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Rip. Let's try again. There we go. That's a lot better. Alright, let me go get the Sorcerer's Torch now. And I'll pick it up with one of my mules, because I currently don't have her. We're going to revive the Sorceress. I don't know if you guys know, she died to a crash bug death. And I'm going to make a new one. The old one never had a torch, so... that's a sick torch, too. Really high vitality. I'm liking these vitality torches. Yesterday our torches had garbage vitality and good res. Today our torches have... good vitality, really good vitality, and kind of bad res. So it's been kind of a mixed bag. No 40 vitality torches yet. None of the torches have rolled in the 40s. That's kind of interesting. Alright. Yeah, we had a 30 vitality torch yesterday, so I'm glad the RNG's making up for it a bit. Really nasty stuff! Revive. Yep. Alright, so now guys, thank you again, Reckless Abandonment. You can help me out again if we do our next Uber after the demo video here. So now we're going to do some map demos, because, you know, everyone always wants to see a character map. I'm not going to do anything too high or too intensive, like no tier 3s or anything. In general, though, this character is strong at a lot of maps. Physical resistance is lacking on most monsters in general. Even, like, most tier 3s are going to do pretty well on this character. I'd say I'd keep away from Bastion's Keep, because there's a physical, I mean bats. You can still kill them, though, as long as you have some kind of source of amplified damage. Like, you know, the Eth-Gabble Pain I have right here. But in general, it's not amazing. We're also going to want to put on the proper gear, so have more DR here. We're going to want to also focus our Drax. I also like kind of having stacked res, but you actually don't need this at all. You can justify actually adding some like life leech if you want. Not a bad thing. So I think I'm going to use this setup for mapping. Extra life leech and more life leech. My life corruption, my life per kill corruption as well. I like life regeneration mechanisms and mapping because lots of monsters are trying to hit you, so it's nice to regenerate your life insanely quickly. And I also like having my DR, so I'm going to have my Dungos. These are Uber-specific items. Of course, if I'm mapping, I'm going to want a bit more MF if possible. So, for the sake of this demo here, I'm actually going to remove... I guess I'll remove some of her damage for now. I don't know. There's really a lot of approaches you can use here. I'm going to put on some MF charms, though. Good stuff, right? Now we actually have 50 MF instead of 0. That being said, though, there's definitely ways you can get Zealers to at least 100 and 150 MF, maybe higher, even on hardcore, but yeah, just having some MF is nice. And then we're going to roll the map, so the way we roll this is we put that in there. And... let's see. Oh yeah, I need my Zachram orbs, rip. Okay. That one and that one. It's like, where's my other item? We're gonna go demo 2 maps here just so you can kind of see what he's capable of. It's a pretty decent one to demo. I have negative block on it though. It's not super ideal, but it should be okay. This one also has some increased maximum life. Not a ton though. It should be okay to at least kind of see what he's capable of. Alright, you know I actually didn't end up needing Horazon orbs after all. I just wasted gold. Awesome. That's what anybody likes doing, is wasting gold. Alright. Those, they could be worth a decent amount. They're not worth as much as the max damage varieties, like things like this right here. Like, this is actually worth a decent amount because it has life, AR, and max damage. I don't know. These are worth maybe probably around, like, gold-ist. Anywhere from, like, mal to gold. They're not worth a ton. Matter of fact, this one's probably worth less. It's probably worth, like, a mal. This one's pretty nice. It has dex, so this one would be worth probably, like, a vex, maybe. Alright, let me make some maps so we can kind of test them out. Let's test them out. Some tier 1s just so you can kind of see what he does. Like I said, there's lots of maps. I'll make sure to put in the description and in the, I'll make sure to put in the description and a pinned comment the map rankings for him based on the immunities. Ah, no! My portals. I want my large charms. But yeah, so because of splash damage, physical damage characters actually do pretty well in maps in Project Diablo 2. You just gotta get right up in there. You just can't be afraid. Since I have 50% DR, like, I can jump in almost anything and I'll be fine. Also have max block. That being said, though, oh, Spirit Shroud, nice. Might want to keep that for to give away for free for someone. That being said, though, still watch like double auras. Double auras can still be nasty. Now, this is not the most efficient mapper ever, which is why I showed the key farming and Uber portion of the hardcore Zealer guide for Project Diablo 2 Season 2 first, because mapping is not insanely efficient on him. Can he do it? Yes. Is he strong? Can he be safe in mapping in hardcore? Yes. Is he super efficient at mapping compared to a lot of other builds, like the Hammerden we showed off last time and the Bone Necro that I showed off? No. But, you know, also he struggles getting his MF up too, so that can be a little problematic. Yeah, man, hope it all works out, HVAC. Sounds like it will. Alright, so this is what I was talking about right here. This is pretty nasty, actually. They can stun lock you too, and they can kill you very fast. Champions and elites extra strong with fanaticism. That can be bad. So make sure to watch some of the auras. Wow, that's just some nasty stuff for a demo. Normally it's not quite this bad, guys. But, you know, be prepared for anything. Oh man, pick up the item, jeez. Make sure to use profuse use of Jouste. Unlike hammers, in order to get maximum surface area, you don't really have to like constantly teleport, which is why Enigma isn't really a thing on this character. Your one Jouste should be fine to reposition. And look at how he destroys the map boss. Honestly. Oh, and he dropped a Wraith Flight. Sweet! Purple loot filter item. Let's go. 50 MF Wraith Flight off of the boss. Let's go. Hey, look at that. We got... Oh, actually on this map we have 133 MF, actually. Okay. Well, that's maps for you. One advantage of maps is that you don't really need MF on your body. But it definitely helps. All MF always helps. One thing to note is that you can actually get a lot more damage on this character still. There are ways to do it. So, you can like one-shot everything once you get enough damage. We're not quite there yet, gear-wise. We're still one-shotting most things, but, you know. Still got our 10,000 damage here, just about. I gotta say, having a torch feels really nice on the Paladin now. I was actually running Ubers without the torch for a bit. Feels really nice. Alright, here we go. Also feels like I'm not about to die to everything, so that's also nice. 57 Vitality, Paladin Torch, OP. Alright, let's get a high roll Wraith Flight. Let's go. Let's do it for the demo. Let's slam it. 174. Ew! Well, let's see what happens. And we bricked it! Yay! Nice, good brick on the demo. I mean, it was a shitty roll, so it's fine, but, you know, still. Could have been better, could have been worse. Le Brick, Brick Humility's in the house. Let's see those Brick Humility emotes in the chat. Let's go. Show me your, yeah. Show me the Brick Humilities. Yeah, there we go. Blazing Hyperion's got a bunch. Well, I mean, it was a nice find, but I guess it didn't roll good and it bricked, so it wasn't meant to be. If it doesn't survive the slam, did you even find the item at all? That's the question you always gotta ask yourself. Not really. I don't mind though, because if that one got a really good corruption, it would have kind of been wasted on a subpar Wraith Flight. Flight isn't even insanely rare, it's close. Yeah, as you can see though, you know, he's a lot of fun. And even if he's not the most efficient build in here, there's a lot of fun in here. That cannot be denied at all. It's like smashing. He might be one of those A, S tier builds for Ubering, but for mapping, he's like, probably B tier, I'd say. It's really cool how you can kind of get right up in there, though. Does not care. What a beast of a character, right? Right. Alright. Very soon here we're gonna leave the game and we're gonna go demo another map just to show that it's not just this map. But you can do any maps, tier 3s, tier 2s, tier 1s. Have a lot of fun. might not be the most efficient clear, but one of the advantages of having him on hardcore is that he's really tanky. And you don't have to worry about using potions often because you have all that nice life leech. It's a very satisfying character to play. You don't feel like you're constantly managing potions. Just go right up in there. No nonsense. Alright. Mercenary loves amping stuff. Amp the stuff. In some ways, this setup actually right here is actually better for mapping than it is for Ubers because I don't have amp on myself, but I have amp on my mercenary, and since my mercenary survives, I can afford to put Storm Shield and Fortitude on myself and maximize my damage a bit. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. You know, that being said, you know, I have not cleared every single area of the map, but that map, in a very loose sense, was completed at least in 14-15 minutes, so he's still a beast. He's still a beast. Obviously, he didn't kill all the monsters, though. If you want to kill every single monster in this character, it's going to be rough. Alright. Next up, we'll do a Horazon's map, just to show you guys another cool map. Alright. Oh, damn, I think we actually rolled Ghosts on this map, didn't we? That's actually not ideal. Damn, I forgot what character we were on.
Hello.
Ghosts have physical immunities, so that's not ideal. Normally, though, this map does not have physical immune ghosts, it has non-physical immune ghosts. That's a blooper right there. Rip. No, that's okay. Good news is I have an Amp Mercenary, so he'll... With that and his concentration, he'll be fine. I'm recording the guide right now. That is correct. We're getting towards the end of the recording, though, so we're getting towards the end of the guide. We're getting to the end. So on most builds, that would be pretty scary to jump into Might Aura, especially with that many flying swords, because those hit really hard in this map. This build does not give a crap. Matter of fact, I'd say that'd be way scarier for the Hammerden even. The Hammerden doesn't have enough DR, so until I get him a bit more, but even with a bit more DR, not enough. Alright. Server issues? Not at the moment. Nice. Most valuable map in the game, Blood Moon. Sweet. Oh, I'm kind of curious how well this character does against, Yeah, once we get Amp on the Ghost... Oh my goodness. Wow! Wow, that's maddening. That's so good. Wow, that is record boss kill speed right there. Excellent. I guess one of the advantages of mapping with your Zealer is that you're gonna have absurd boss kill speed and absurd boss kill potential. Because you have so much you know, you have so many like Deadly Strike and Crushing Blow stats, negative physical res even if you put on certain items. That is just like amazing. So you see these ghosts, the normal ghosts in the area don't have physical immunity. So you don't have to worry about physical immunity in here. So yeah, you know, this character can do it all really. I mean, and with the map kill speed, I mean with the boss kill speed, that's kind of cool. If you're going for pure demonic essences, you actually might want to use your Zealer on purpose. Spawn a white map, and then just rush the boss and kill him for pure demonic essences. Because the boss is pretty close to the work of Runes of Viz-Jun, you might want to use Runes of Viz-Jun maps for that. And just get some white Runes of Viz-Jun maps or downgrader maps to white. And then bum rush the boss for pure demonic essences and just kill it with the Zealer. One of the fastest boss killers in the game. And that's map bosses are no exception. You only need that amp, man. This has actually been a pretty dangerous setup here for Horazon's memory map. Lots of Might Aura and Fanaticism, but as you can see, he doesn't even flinch. He might die. You always watch your HP. Don't get too complacent. Oh, another Blood Moon map. Wow! This map RNG there right now. Loving it. Yeah, even physical immune ghosts aren't slowing me down much because of my mercenaries and procs. And I don't have charge maxed out, but arguably charge might even be a little bit better than Zeal for mapping. So you can easily use similar gear and just charge. That's another thing you can do. Alright. Settle down now, monsters. Yep, the mercenary is proccing him. He's got a Gavel of Ping. I'll show off my gear very shortly, so we're actually getting pretty close to the stat, skill, build part of the guide, which I always do at the end. I know some people might do it in the beginning, but I think the area demos and why I do it. In general, the reason to make a Zealer is for exceptional boss killing speed, E-farming, uber killing, and safe hardcore mapping, and effective hardcore mapping. And just because it's a really fun build. And like I said, if you tech it into charge, you actually do pretty well for mapping, so... this is still doing well though, it's not like we're not mapping well. It's just that you don't kill as many monsters. Splash damage is amazing though. Splash damage is really good. Splash damage, we really don't have to worry much about this at all. Alright, so I think we're just gonna finish up this map here. Pretty much talked about all the relevant things. Once again, in the description, we will talk about. I'll give you the map tier rankings as well, just in case you want the map with a physical damage character. Those rankings will pretty much go for almost any physical damage character, so check that out. So you can kind of understand like what maps maybe you should be doing with a character like this. This is exclamation S2HC Zealer if you want to see the gear right this second. That's the basic gear though, it's not all of his gear swaps, so we're gonna go over everything in this guide though. It's pretty disgusting how much survivability he has. You could even argue that he has too much survivability. There's definitely other gear swap outs we'll talk about here. And then again, in hardcore, there's almost no such thing as too much survivability. Especially if you want to use the Zealer and play with play in an 8-man mapping group or something, or do an 8-man of any kind. You're gonna need that survivability because the monsters start doing a ton of damage. Come on, Jouste! Jouste is the best thing ever, by the way, for Zeal. If Jouste didn't exist, this build would feel so bad in that. I always think Senpai and team for that. Hammerden would feel bad with nerfed Enigma too. Like, honestly, without Joust, Paladin doesn't feel good unless it's like Holy Bolt. Even then, Holy Bolt still benefits from Joust for certain kinds of overwall mobility and whatnot. XP Shrine! Alright.
Impossible.
Impossible. Overburdened. Can't care anymore. Heard it all before. Okay. Alright. Alright, well, there you go. I mean, honestly, that is not bad. I mean, he maps pretty freaking fast. Like, I'm impressed. I mean, he doesn't kill all the monsters, but his clear speed's pretty decent. You bricked your Maras! Oh no, that's bad. Well, I mean, it's the way she goes in this mod, let me tell you. It's the way she goes. Okay, there's way too much clutter here. Let me try to get rid of it here, and then we will go over the gear in a second here, and the skills, and the stats. Just kind of explain what kind of things you want and whatnot. That is it for the demo phase of the guide. Hope you guys enjoyed the map demos and the Uber demos and the key running demos and explanations and everything else. Now we're going to go into the final phase of the guide. And GG. This phase is pretty important though. This is some of the nitty gritty stuff. If you want to make your own Zealer, you might want to know all this fun stuff we're about to talk about now. And it's so unorganized. Yikes! Okay, I guess we can do one more Uber Tristram. Maybe we can get lucky and get one more organ. I don't know. We have 5 organs right now. Not bad, not bad. Okay. Alright, guys.
Afternoon.
Turn off the music here for this part. So this is a... Alright, this is a Zealer. So let's go over his stats real quick and kind of just explain what you're going for on a Zealer. That is not the stat screen. Alright, so this is the basic stat screen. As you can see, our current damage is 3,000 to 9,700. You can get this a lot higher. You can get like upwards of like 13 to 15k Zeal with certain weapons and certain amounts of like damage charms and whatnot. But it's we're doing okay right now. This is my attack rating. Attack rating is very important for any physical damage character. I definitely recommend getting at least 9,000.
I can already tell that I'll
higher.
be your best friend in this forsaken.
No, Master. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Cult of Xander and enjoy your stay. Yeah, at least over like 9,000 or higher, I would get on this for sure. Make sure you have enough strength to wear your gear. I have a bit over that at the moment with this current configuration because I have other configurations that hit exactly 174 strength, which is the requirement for Crown of Ages. So it just depends on my configurations. You got to take all of your configurations into account. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to be down strength. But then again, with certain gear, you don't have to worry as much. With just Storm Shield and no Crown of Ages, for instance, you can have a lot less strength, and you can have the Storm Shield bug itself on. But it's not that big of a deal. Alright, so this is a 20,000 defense here with a max block. So defense is really nice on a Zealer. You get right up in there, just like with the Hammered. And the Hammered is about 15,000 defense, right, that I had. You can get higher there too. You definitely want to get a ton of defense on these characters that jump right in the middle of monsters. Especially whether it's key farming or mapping, especially mapping though. You don't want them to be hitting you that often. There's so many monsters, and if they're hitting you constantly, you can die very fast. So that's not good stuff. Having a high defense means they're less likely to hit you, and having max block means they actually have to win that 25% chance to hit you first to even have that average chance to hit you possibly matters. So that's good stuff. Good stuff in general. Max block, very important, extremely important. I'd get it on softcore or hardcore. Unless you're using a two-handed weapon, you could do a two-handed Zealer on softcore, and that sounds like something that could be a lot of fun. Don't do it on hardcore. You will die at some point. The Paladin gets most of his defensive power, like I said, with the Hammered Guide from Holy Shield and block. So yeah, it could be something fun to mess around with, but I wouldn't mess around with it on hardcore for sure. Vitality, just dump the rest into it after you get your max block and your strength, and we got about 400 here, one more level, which we're about to hit pretty soon. We'll have over 400, so that's kind of cool. Energy, don't need to worry about that one. Alright, those are the general statistics in general. Let's go over the advanced statistics so you can kind of see here. This is kind of an all-purpose build that does Ubers, mapping, and key farming. You could not stack as much res if you're just doing mapping. This is absurdly stacked res for mapping. You don't need that at all. This is for Mephisto, and specifically Mephisto. And I even stack more fire res for Mephisto, so with different gear combinations. So for that, you know, it's just it's a Mephisto thing mostly. It's also somewhat of a Bale thing as well when you're killing Bale. Make sure to stack your res for the Uber Tristram at the very least. But you're definitely going to want 50 res higher than your max res. So right now these are my max res. So you want at least 125 cold res, fire res. And in the case of lightning, since I have 84 with Mephisto, I'm going to want 134 with Mephisto. So the reason you know you have max block, by the way, is you have it says I have chance to block 75%. So in Diablo 2, 75% is the maximum chance to block. Feel free to ask questions in the chat because people watching the video might have those questions as well. Once you put in Dex, so Dex increases your block rating, and with good shields, with good chance to block, you requires less and less Dex. Eldrins can help, and also other items with chance to block increase can reduce the amount of Dex required to reach max block. Alright, so another thing to note about these stats here is 50% damage reduction. So, Diablo 2, 50% is max. However, if you get amped, you go down to -50. So you can actually stack your damage reduction past this if you want, just to make amp less likely to kill you. That being said, though, when I'm not amped, which is most of the time I'm not amped because of my helm, I can get some curse reduction gear, actually, and improve it even more, which I kind of want to. I kind of want to get some curse reduction gear, because then I'll have, like, almost no... I almost will be immune to curses, which will be nice. Which is insane on a Zealer for sure, but we're not quite there yet. We don't have all of that specialized gear, but you can definitely think about it. Anyway, with 50% damage reduction, you are tanky. You are very tanky. It's very hard for things to, for a lot of that damage to get through me. I also have some flat DR as well with this current setup, but I also have more DR with Nature's Peace. You can definitely get even flat DR on top of that and just make yourself very tanky. It's good stuff on a Zealer. Hit recovery. You want to make sure you hit that 48 FHR no matter what configuration you're using at the very least. You can also justify the 86 FHR breakpoint as well. I don't think FHR is as important when you have max block in general. It's still a little important. Make sure you don't have terrible frames, but I'd get at least that 48 frame for most things on the Zealer. The 86 frame is... if you feel like you can afford it. I feel like, though, oftentimes when you're sacrificing too much life, like in your charms for FHR, it's not a good thing. So I'd rather be able to survive that one shot than maybe recover one frame faster, when most of the time it's hitting my block frames and not my hit recovery frames. Hit recovery frames only come into account when I take more than 1/12 of my health and damage. And so, since I have so much DR, and I have max block, I actually don't get put in hit recovery often at all. So it's not a super huge priority. I would definitely prioritize life more. As a matter of fact, you could even justify maybe sitting at the 27 FHR frame. That's okay. Attack speed, you're going to want enough attack speed to hit max frame with whatever weapon you're using. So in this case... we have 85 attack speed because of my fanaticism, and I also have Drax. Actually, it's not counting fanaticism in your tooltip. Interesting. It's just counting these 3 items. But with that plus fanaticism, actually, I think you only need like 62 or something for a Berserker Axe. We're actually way over right now with this current configuration, but some of my other configurations are like dead on, like almost just barely over that max frame. So attack speed, you can use the calculator if you type exclamation attack speed calc in my channel, or you look up attack speed calculators on Google. There's plenty of them. They can help you out with that no matter what weapon you're using. Make sure to account for your fanaticism level though. Very important stuff. Crushing blow. So honestly, I used to say Crushing Blow was more important, but in Season 2, Project Diablo 2, it's been nerfed in Season 1, and it's been nerfed so much in Season 2. It's important to, like, get that initial, like, to get the monster to around, like, 65%. But now it's to the point to where it doesn't really do anything at all. I don't think it does anything once it gets past 65% of a monster's health. So, you can have Crushing Blow. Crushing Blow helps to get that boss HP down quicker in the beginning, but it's not nearly as important as it was. It's been nerfed so much that it's still effective in a lot of ways, especially against Uber bosses for getting that, once it said that first chunk's going, but it's not as insane as it once was. It's still an important stat though. One thing you're going to want for Uber bosses of any kind is open wounds, including the mini Ubers. You want to at least prevent monster heal on yourself. It will not work on your mercenary, or open wounds on yourself or your mercenary. The mercenary won't survive Ubers very long though, so I don't know. You're probably going to want the open wounds on yourself. That's why I'm wearing Gore Riders. You can wear Drax and Gore Riders, or you can just wear Gore Riders. Gore Riders only give 10%, but usually since you hit them so many times, usually you're going to proc it and you're going to refresh it fast enough. Usually when you proc it, it takes a while for them to recover from that. So that's good stuff. Make sure you have some source of that somewhere on your body. And then Deadly Strike, 83%. Yeah, you want really high Deadly Strike if you can. That's double damage. That's really good stuff. It's still good stuff in this mod. Negative enemy physical res is another stat you're looking for on gear to really make some of that damage pop, and of course amplify damage somewhere. My only source of amp right now with the current gear configuration is the Mercenary, but I'll explain that there's other ways to get amplify damage that you might prefer when you're doing Ubers. I don't currently have a awesome Exile base though, so we're going to have to wait on that one. Life Leech. Life Leech is good. In most of my configurations, except for the Diablo configuration, I currently have Life Leech, but you almost always want at least some Life Leech somewhere on yourself. Death has Mana Leech. Also, some source of Mana Leech is nice too. Some kind of source of Mana Leech. It doesn't necessarily have to be a ton. Magic Find right now is 50, but I'm using my like PVM, like key farming / mapping configuration. It's not a lot, but with maps it actually boosts to around like 200 and won't be terrible. Just having a Geeds, maybe a couple of MF small charms might actually help out quite a bit here. It's hard to stack MF on a Zealer though if you want it to be really tanky and strong, especially on hardcore. But on softcore and elsewhere, you can definitely prioritize MF more than other stats. Well, good stuff in general. Obviously, sources of absorption are going to be important for Ubers. We'll talk about that in a second, though. Before we go over the gear, though, we're then going to go over the skills real quick. This is probably one of the simplest builds in terms of like the skill tree. When I make more guides in the future, and the guides I've already made, the Hammered In and the Bone Necro guide, those are more complicated, especially the Bone Necro guide. This one's pretty simple, though. Really simple stuff. You're going to want to just max Fanaticism. That's how you boost your attack speed. With weapons like Death and Stone Crusher that don't have base attack speed on them, Fanaticism is very important for getting your attack speed up higher without sacrificing too many stats on your gear. Also, of course, it gives you a lot of attack rating, which is amazing. And it also gives you a lot of damage. So, really good stuff. Adds a lot to your damage, adds a lot to your attack rating. Everything you pretty much are going to want for killing Ubers or killing anything, really. It's really good stuff. Of course, for mapping, you could also argue that using some of these elemental auras, or even Sanctuary, which has been boosted this ladder, magic damage, other forms of elements, very good for diversifying your damage. So if you want to make another kind of Zealer, you can actually like maybe not put as many points into Zeal or sacrifice at all, and just put points into one of these auras and synergies, and you can make yourself do a lot of like all kinds of damage, which could be nice for mapping, and it makes the physical means a little bit less annoying. With Amp, it's not too bad, but I mean, you can do this stuff too, though. Honestly, the Fanaticism or mapping, like for any kind of like, these are very good approaches for a Zealer in general. For Ubers, though, you're definitely going to want to stick to that physical damage. The reason being is that Ubers have insanely high elemental resistances, insanely high magic resistance. You start using some of these auras on you, and even with Infinity, it's going to be kind of rough. Like, you're not going to be doing nearly as much damage. You're not going to have the attack speed. You're not going to have the AR. You're definitely going to want Fanaticism for any kind of Uber Zealer. So these are nice for other uses, though, for sure. All right, so then max Fanaticism, that's your aura. And then literally just put like 1 point to Salvation if you want, if your res is kind of weak, or if you want to use it for a party. Like, let's say you're having a party help you with Ubers, you can help shore up their res. I like to put 1 point into Vigor. You could put more points into Vigor, though, if you want. You'd have to take them out of the Defiance, but this can help you charge with Vigor faster, like for key running and whatnot. Getting that velocity up can definitely help a tiny bit. Even with just 1 point, though, it's very effective. Alright, 1 point to Jouste. Mobility is very important on this character. Definitely helps out a lot. It can get you out of a pickle. Charge alone is not going to get you out of every pickle, or is not going to allow you to position the Mercenary correctly. So your two sources of mobility are Charge, Joust, well, I guess Vigor and Charge, but Vigor as well. So Joust is very important for repositioning and getting you out of like being surrounded by deadly monsters and other things. So very important to have 1 point there. And then this is not a charge build, but 1 point charge will be used quite often. And then you max Zeal and Sacrifice. Since I am a physical damage dealer, I go full on I go full on the synergy for Zeal, which is Sacrifice, and I also max out Zeal. Zeal gives me damage and AR, straightforward. Definitely going to want both of those. You're going to want the main skill and the synergies. And since there aren't a lot of skills remaining on a physical damage dealer build, or not a lot of options, I should say, I really like just maxing out Holy Shield. Get that defense insanely high. Get that block chance insanely high. And then
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this fight.
that's how I have 20,000 defense, by the way, is that we have that, and I even have the synergy for Holy Shield being maxed here, which is Defiance. It's the same way, by the way, in Vanilla. Like, this build is so similar to Vanilla, it's almost the same in PD2 as well. And I haven't maxed out Defiance, but we're putting the remaining points in here. That's what I said. You could maybe put some into Vigor. You can definitely take some liberties with those points a bit, but yeah, it's overall a very strong build. Slasherus, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Cult of Xan and Jouste. Alright, let's start talking about, so that's pretty much it. That's it for the skills, guys. Pretty simple stuff. You're going to be using a lot of Vigor, Charge, Zeal, Joust, and of course Holy Shield. And of course make sure to use Fanaticism on your right click. Good stuff, right? Good stuff. Okay. Next, let's go over the gear a bit. So, we're going to go over the Mercenary. There's a lot of different Mercenary configurations you can run on a Zealer that are all effective depending on how much DR you already have, much other stuff you have as well. So, let's kind of go over the one I currently have, because this is the gear I currently have, or I have already found. Like, I self-found this item, believe it or not. I self-found it, I corrupted it for Deadly Strike, and I puzzled it for 4 sockets. That's a sick weapon. I mean, if you don't have a Whirlwind Barb already, which I don't currently, I wanted to use this as soon as possible. This thing's amazing. You get all those shield runes in there, make your Mercenary's attack speed insane. He gets Deadly Strike off of it as well, so you can do absurd amounts of damage. And this is our source of amplify damage. So I recommend, no matter how you run the Zealer, to have at least one source of amplify damage. There's a lot of options for this. This is an option. It's a very good option on an Act 5 Mercenary. Act 5 Mercenaries give us a really high Might Aura, which is nice in combination with Fanaticism. With Amp, we can break physical immunes. We can do more damage to monsters that have high physical resistance, like Ubers. Really good stuff. There's a lot of other options, though. You can also run Exile on yourself. You can run Pride on an Act 2 Mercenary if you run Exile on yourself. And you can also run, like, Might with Templar. So you can run Might, Concentration, Fanaticism on yourself, and Amp on your body. I think ideally that might be the strongest configuration overall as an Act 2 Mercenary with all that. But you'd have to have the Exile, you have to have the Pride, you have to have even more expensive items than I have already accrued. I will work on these things, of course, but this item at some point, even if I don't end up using it for this build in the end, I'll use it for a Whirlwind Barb for sure. Like, I'll put it to use. Like, this season with that Whirlwind procs, man, this is going to be insane. But overall, yeah, very solid weapon to get that Amp. Attack speed, poison resistance, and life leech. And strength. We need the strength. Andes, this is a very strength-intensive requiring weapon. In a lot of other configurations, if you're not using Gavel of Pain, you probably won't need Andes. You can use, like, G-Face or something, but not with this thing. Not with 243 strength requirement. That's you're gonna need that Andes or something similar. Fortitude. Fortitude is just a ton of damage, life, and res. It's everything the Mercenary wants and some flat DR. Good stuff. Like I said though, on an Act 2 Mercenary, you might want to use Templars here. Templars gives you Might Aura. Since an Act 5 Mercenary already gives you Might Aura though, that's a waste on an Act 5 Mercenary. So one of your best options on an Act 5 Mercenary is Fortitude. There's definitely other options, of course. Anything that can help him survive, anything gives him res, life leech, cannot be frozen, damage, defense, or a combination of all those things is typically going to be effective in those gear slots. Lava Gouts. This is a pretty sick Lava Gouts. I found this. Gives him boosted fire res, has half freeze duration. He doesn't have cannot be frozen on him currently, but he has half freeze duration. And he also has he gets the enchant, so he almost always hits with that AR boost there from the Lava Gouts. He has attack speed on it, and I corrupted negative target defense on it, which is amazing because he's gonna hit almost all the time with that enchant and that negative target defense. Like, easy stuff, right? Easy hitting with that. But there's a lot of gloves you can use. Most of the gloves you're gonna want are some kind of combination of attack speed and life, attack speed and demon damage, like with laying of hands, attack speed and dead damage. Most of the Ubers are demons though, so probably laying of hands. Laying of hands is very solid, but so is this. It actually does help him survive against Diablo sometimes a little bit, Uber Diablo, but I don't know, it doesn't always work. I'm gonna need like maybe a Hellmouth or something. For certain Ubers, like, you can definitely like swap these kinds of items out, give him some Sorb as well to make him survive some of those Uber monsters a bit better. I don't have all of those gear options available to me at the moment. However, you know, you could just use common sense. Like, if you stack a lot of light res corruptions on him, and then you can use like Thunder Gods, for instance, he can Sorb and he'll have stacked light res, so he might actually be able to survive Mephisto decently well. You know, for Diablo, it's the same thing. You can put some Fire Sorb, have him stack the Fire res a bit, or at least give him like max Fire res, and then you can survive maybe Diablo a bit longer. That being said, though, if he gets slapped with physical damage, he's probably going to die anyway because they have such huge bonuses against mercenaries. String of Ears, 8% life leech, ton of PDR. PDR is huge, so PDR is going to be a nice stat on your mercenary no matter what, if you can get it somewhere. Also has MDR as well. Just a really good belt. There's a lot of belts you can use though, like Nas Coil, Nosferatu's Coil, and a bunch of other ones as well. Verdungos, anything that gives a lot of like defense, life, DR, life leech. This just gives him some extra damage, crushing blow, and actually this is kind of almost exactly what you would want for Mephisto for him. But if I wanted to optimize it a bit better, I'd get a second T-Gods and maybe run that a bit. But yeah, I mean, you get the idea though. More stats that you can use for sure for more damage and just overall survivability. Lots of options, you know, Gore Riders there. You can definitely get more things as well. Maybe get like a cannot be frozen Gore Riders, put it on your mercenary. That's the rich option, I suppose. Alright, so yeah, there's a lot of sources of amp. We kind of talked about this a little bit. There's also another Act 2 mercenary, by the way, before we talk about the main gear. That you can definitely consider using here. So if you use an Act 2 mercenary and you get Templars on him and you get F Reaper's Toll, you also get a huge % chance to roll amplify damage, even higher chance than this. And you can use that on a Defiance mercenary, give yourself more defense as well. That's definitely one of your nice amp options as well. Is getting a Reaper's Toll on that mercenary. So if you don't want to use amp on yourself and you put like amp on the mercenary, you could use Reaper's Toll Act 2. Reaper's Toll is very nice, and with the might on the Templars, it's going to be really solid with your fanaticism as well. And then of course you have really high chance to amp, and you have Defiance Aura as well. So that's definitely another very good Merc configuration as well, in addition to the Concentration Aura one. But if you're going to use the Concentration Aura Act 2 Mercenary, I recommend using Amp on yourself. So I recommend using an Exile configuration. Alright, so next thing we're going to want to talk about here is the main gear. So this is, honestly, for the price point, this is probably the strongest weapon in the game for the cost. It's just really insane. It gives you AR, gives you a ton of damage. Mine rolled pretty good, but even if it doesn't roll pretty good, it's going to be solid. Deadly Strike, Crushing Blow, everything like this. There's cheaper versions of weapons like this. I mean, you can get things like Kingslayer, Oath. They might be effective. They might be just as effective. They're definitely a lot cheaper, but this isn't that expensive, and it's just really strong. The hardest thing about Death is the base. 5-socketed F Berserker Axe can be a little bit challenging to find. I got lucky, though. I actually found this base myself, somewhat in the beginning of the ladder on my Bone Necro, so I found it, and I think I cubed it for 5 sockets. It was a plain F Berserker Axe. So you can get lucky. The base is definitely problematic for Death, for sure. Everything else about it, though, is pretty solid. As you can see, you get tons of Deadly Strike, tons of Crushing Blow. You even get a Blood Golem you can use for a free hit. AR, get your Mana Leech off of it, get your AR, get tons of damage. The damage is just insane on this thing, so it's a really good weapon. There are weapons more expensive than this that are a lot less effective in more scenarios. Like, for instance, Last Wish, it gives you Life Tap, which does help surviving, but it does so much less damage that it's so slow that it's, I don't know. And it's so expensive. Like, Last Wish costs 3 Jaw Runes, a Burr Rune, a Sur Rune. You can definitely use things like that over this, but I don't know if it's really worth it, especially with the recent Crushing Blow nerf. And then there's other options like Grief. Grief doesn't have any Crushing Blow at all, but Grief at least has almost the damage this has. It just doesn't have as much Deadly Strike either. Grief has nice attack speed though, so if you're struggling getting your attack speed up, you can definitely consider Grief Phase Blade. Not a terrible weapon. They buffed it again this season, so it's actually not in the worst place. It was definitely horrible last season, but it's in a bit of a better place this season. Other weapons to talk about that are somewhat cheapish, but, well, we already talked about the cheaper ones, like the Oath and the Kingslayer. I guess we can also talk about how you can get even more powerful weapons in this, so, yeah, believe it or not, you can get things that are stronger than this. You can get Death Cleaver, 4 sockets, that'd be insane. Death Cleaver has even more Deadly Strike, so I'd have like 100% with that weapon, not 83. And then I'd have like crazy amounts of damage. Crazy amounts of damage with it. If you put 4 ohms in an Death Cleaver with 40% attack speed based on that, actually, I guess 3 ohms in a Zod, but yeah, you get the idea. You get like a 4-socket Corruption on thing. The maximum damage will hit around like 650. I think it almost hits 700. There's also crafted weapons you can use as well. You can use Tur, Perfect Sapphire, Jewel, and Magic Berserker Axes you find, and you can craft some hit power Berserker Axes that are insane with ignore target defense or high amounts of negative target defense. Breath of the Dying is another option that was just brought up in the chat as well. I would say for the price point, though, you're doing about the same amount of damage, like in terms of the one-handed damage, but you don't have Deadly Strike on it. It does have Life Leech, which means it's maybe a little bit safer. It does have some other advantages, like having a huge amount of attributes, which makes it a bit safer, but it doesn't have Crushing Blow, doesn't have Deadly Strike, and on top of that, it requires a Zod Rune, which is not easy to find. Funny I say that, we actually did find a Zod Rune today, but it's either 2 Jams or a Zod, and normally that's not going to be super easy to acquire. I think Death still outperforms Breath of the Dying, even though it's slightly more expensive. It also outperforms Grief in most scenarios as well, even though Grief is faster, even though Grief requires a low rune. So it's mostly the base that's the real challenge with Death anyway, but if you get the base, you're set to go. Alright, I think that's enough talking about the weapon. There's a lot of weapon options. Kind of went over everything that could be really strong, everything from like good, like Oath and Kingslayer, to like insanely strong, like Death Cleaver, and crazy crafts. But yeah, in general though, for this point in the ladder, I'm pretty happy to have a high roll Death Berserker Axe. Helm. There's a lot of options here. Because of the recent Crushing Blow nerf, though, I'm starting to question G-Face more and more. Like, G-Face last ladder was huge. Like, it used to be still insane, even with the other Crushing Blow nerfs. But now it almost seems like Unless you just want that deadly strike maybe, and that's some of that help from the crushing blow, it's maybe not as necessary. And in hardcore, I would actually recommend getting DR on here. I think the DR is more important now than it was the last ladder. So some source of DR. So your best options in this slot are going to be like Crown of Ages and Vampire Gaze, usually. There are other options like Rock Stopper if you're going cheapo build. Rock Stopper would give you res just like this does. It would also give you DR just like this does. And it would also give you a lot of defense. The difference between this and Rock Stopper, though, is you don't get 3 sockets, at least not normally, unless you get a God Tier Corruption on a Hydra Skull Rock Stopper. The reduced curse duration just puts this above and beyond on Rock Stopper, and especially if it rolled like 15% DR. Like the DR didn't roll great on this. It did roll max sockets though, which is amazing, allowing us to hit more attack speed. So when I upgrade this, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put attack speed ED jewels in it. Right now it just has almost plain attack speed jewels. I can actually increase my DPS by quite a bit if I do that. I already have 2 of those jewels, so I'm looking for a third one. Once I get a third one, it's going to be a pretty nice upgrade. I'm satisfied with this Crown of Ages, though. It's not like it doesn't have perfect DR, but I'm still hitting 50 DR even with it because of my other items. And, you know, the ED Corruption is nice. It's nice to have like 500 defense on your helm, so... the 75% reduced curse duration, though, outperforms Rock Stopper. And in a lot of ways outperforms V-Gaze as well, even though V-Gaze can have more damage reduction and it has Life Leech. V-Gaze doesn't have res, but the reason why that does is that, like, you might have noticed that my curses don't stay on me very long. I'm not cursed all the time. That's very helpful. Being amped all the time means that you don't have 50% DR. It means you have negative 50% DR, so that's a big difference. So... It's a really awesome helm. I would say probably best in slot for this build is probably 15% DR, 3 socket Crown of Ages with 1540s in it, and possibly some kind of maybe DR corruption on it, maybe 6% DR corruption. You can get like 21% DR. I don't know. There's some other corruptions too, like maximum life. I wouldn't say skills are super important on the Zealers, so I don't know. It already comes with sockets, so overall it's almost best in slot already, so that's really nice. This is like one of my best finds already this ladder, so there's a reason why we already have this. In Vitality, High Lords. Well, High Lords is just High Lords. High Lords gives you Deadly Strike and attack speed. It's amazing for hitting the breakpoints. It's amazing for Deadly Strike. The only other thing I might use in this slot would be possibly Atmas, maybe Saracens, maybe Metal Grid. All of those amulets have damage modifiers, AR modifiers, defense modifiers, things that could help out your build. If you use any of those other options, though, you're not going to have the attack speed, so mind your breakpoints, depending on whatever weapon you're using and how you're doing it. For this configuration, High Lords tends to work the best. Atmas would be nice for Amp, however, it only has a 7% chance to proc, so I'm not sure how effective that is. I question it, because when I used to use it on LOD where it has only a 2%, it wasn't very useful at all on a Zealer. It was nice on a bow zone, like a strafe zone, because you proc it so many times, but I don't know. It's Zealers, I think unless you have like maybe 15% plus, maybe at least 10% plus, I don't know how well Atmas would actually work here. I question that, but it is an option. And then of course Saracens and Metal Grid. Saracens has ED. If you're already hitting your other breakpoints and already have enough Deadly Strike, you can consider that. Just remember, the more % chance you have to do double damage, that adds to your DPS a lot. So having high Deadly Strike is nice. In general, it also helps the lightning res, which is good against Mephisto as well when you're making an Uber Zealer, so that's very important. Alright, so the shield and the armor configuration. So let's kind of talk about some variation in this here. Yeah, the cap is 50%. We just went over that, and that one's good. So I think best in slot probably is 3-socketed Shaft and Exile for Ubers when you're killing the actual Uber bosses. And the reason I think that is because you still need your DR against the Ubers. However, you can't usually get it from your belt. You're usually going to have to switch to T-Gods when you're doing Uber Tristram at least. And you get the life, you get the DR. You don't get the damage, but that's okay because you can get your damage elsewhere. And the Exile will actually proc a decent level amplified damage at a decent percent chance. You need a nice ethereal all res base for it though. And what you're probably going to have to do is, because you're not going to get nearly as much res as the Storm Shield, you're probably going to have to put like res attack speed jewels in your Shaft Stop maybe. That's what I'm thinking maybe. Either that or you can put some more attack speed ED jewels or attack speed res jewels in a combination of the two to get your res high enough. Either that or you're going to have to make up the difference in your charms. That being said though, my current configuration is effective. Obviously, I mean I just did the demo, it works. There are advantages to Fortitude though. Like Fortitude for instance gives you 30 all res. Once again, that res is going to be hard to make up with the other configuration. You need that stacked res against Mephisto, so it's very important. It also has 4% maximum light res, which is very useful against Uber Mephisto. Once again, it makes it to where he heals you instead of kills you with his charge bolt attack, which is very nice, especially in hardcore. And you also get the damage, so you also get 200% ED, just straight up off the armor. No jewels required. That's super good. It's giving me about 1 to 1.5k extra damage, and the more damage you put on the build, it starts to add up to about 2,000 extra damage, so that's a lot. My current configuration, of course, barring though, but this is a very good armor still, and it only requires a low rune, so LO. I mean, that's a little expensive, but there's other options. If you want to know cheaper options for this item, I'd recommend maybe... Lionheart is definitely the cheapest item you can use. It's very effective against this, against like the Uber bosses. Stone would be nice. Lionheart would be nice. Duris would be nice as well. And obviously Shaft Stop, you can use just a random one as well if you don't have like all the sockets in it. But the sockets might be needed to get that res up. So res might be challenging with the Shaft Stop. And the reason why is because you have a lot less res on the shield, a lot less res. Well, at least a lot less res on the armor. Maybe a lot less res on the shield, depends. So this is also one of my best finds so far this ladder. Yes, I've only found one Storm Shield still this ladder, and the one Storm Shield I found, well, 23% DR, which isn't insane, but I corrupted it for 3 sockets, so pretty nutty. It's definitely one of those items that you gotta take a double take at for sure. And when you can put 3 runes in it, which give 22 all res apiece, so easy to stack my res against the Uber bosses like this. It's so good. It's so good. It definitely helps with the res problem a ton. That being said, though, there's other options. You can use Sanctuary, for instance, in a shield, but you can... it's Coco Mao in a 3-socketed Paladin shield. Get those resistances near 100 all using Sanctuary. Sanctuary is just very nice in general. You could also use a Headhunter's Glory, put 3 in that. Headhunter's Glory also has amplified damage on striking as well. Those options, of course, once again, do not have DR, so you'd have to have like Shaft Stop. I really, really recommend that high DR, especially on hardcore. On softcore, you can get away with lower DR. You might die here and there, and it might be okay. You can't die on hardcore, though, so you really need 50% or close to that. Really like to stress that whatever configuration you make sure you can survive. Make sure you have that stacked res. Make sure you have that DR. Make sure you have a decent amount of life, and make sure you have those attack speed breakpoints and your damage figured out. So, all right. So yeah, there's definitely cheaper options for the shield, though. I went over a couple of them there, like Sanctuary and Headhunter's Glory. There's some other options. I mean, you could just put perfect diamonds in a Moser's. You can put perfect diamonds in. There's a lot of things you can do, but you're going to need to get your DR somewhere else. And if you're doing hardcore, I kind of recommend having higher tier gear before you do Ubers anyway. because this is going to be super dangerous. So unless you have like a summoner friend or someone that can tag team with you and maybe tank for you, I mean, then maybe you don't need as much DR. But if you're doing it solo, though, definitely make sure you got your I's dotted, T's crossed, that kind of thing. How much dex do you need for max block with that? It depends on the configuration. But just put in dex until you have max block with Holy Shield. As long as your Holy Shield is maxed, it is the most effective way to respec a Paladin of any kind. Alright. Next we have Drax. So there's a lot of options here. I think in general just having some kind of attack speed or some kind of negative physical gloves or some kind of life leech gloves or open wounds, crushing blow, those kinds of gloves tend to be effective here. This option is definitely the safest option I have right now because of the nice life corruption, but we're going to talk about the other gear in my stash here in a second, so stay tuned for that one. Raven Frost. Alright, so Raven Frost. I think here a life leech Raven Frost would actually help some of my corruptions quite a bit, but you know, I'm going to take for all attributes, though. That is a nice Raven Frost. It's giving us a lot of extra life. It's got decent cold sword. It gives me my cannot be frozen. This is my source of cannot be frozen. Definitely need one of those. Normally, you can use it. I mean, you can put it on your Gore Riders or something for sure. However, it's not a bad idea to have it on a Raven Frost because Raven Frost gives you some of that much needed cold sword. It also gives you a lot of AR, which is really nice for boosting the AR against those Uber bosses. So there's almost nothing you can go wrong with on this ring. Also gives you that dex for that max block. It's really, really perfect. Such a good ring to have on one of these characters. Verdungos. I got so lucky when I found and corrupted that. It started out 38-13, now it's 38-17. Might not have one of these on hand super easily to have something that's 15 or higher physical PDR. But you could also have higher PDR in Storm Shield. You can have a Shaft Stop, which gives 30 PDR, so you don't need a 17 PDR corruption Dungos, but it works perfectly in this setup where this PDR rolled low, this PDR rolled pretty low, and this one rolled, well, over max, so that's it's actually helping out. This I use this for my generic setup. So right now what you're seeing here is like my generic like mapping setup, and this one works pretty well, just getting that 50 DR, giving me that FHR as well, so I can hit that 48 breakpoint, and then giving me all that vitality, which is huge. Very nice tankage. Awesome belt. I recommend using Verdungos or at least String of Ears here. String of Ears is probably the cheapest option that's actually going to be effective here. You can also use Credendum, which is even cheaper for like more res, strength, dex. But to be honest though, you know, getting that DR, getting Life Leech, MDR like String of Ears, Verdungos, that's usually going to be what you're going for there. Ring. This ring is a good ring. So this is for my mapping, but I'm going to go over a whole bunch of different rings you can use here. More Life Leech, especially if you don't have Life Leech on your gloves or something or anywhere else. You definitely need Life Leech somewhere, but this has nice res, it has replenished life, it has Life Leech, it has AR, it has strength. Overall, it's helping out a lot of things right now, so any kind of like blood ring that gives you life, res, Life Leech, AR, maybe even Dual Leech if you're not using Death and you're lacking that Mana Leech. Those are all good options in that second ring slot. Yeah. FHR isn't as important if you don't have max block, though. FHR becomes more important. I would say it's not super important on this build when you have so much defense and you have max block and you have so much DR. That being said, it's still important sometimes and it can make the difference, especially if you're not paying attention to your character. Gore Riders. Alright, so this is just a generic Gore Riders. It got cold res corruption. It's helping my cold res a bit. But overall, it's just Gore Riders. If you have cannot be frozen here, for instance, you can take off the Raven Frost. But like I said, this ring gives you kind of everything. So maybe you'd use like Metal Grid if you did that, and there's some other stuff you can do. But like I said, there's a lot of possibilities. But Gore Riders is very nice. Gore Riders is very nice. On a lot of my configurations, it's the only thing giving me open wounds, which prevents the monsters from healing. The Uber bosses, which is important. You need at least one source of that. Or like prevent monster heal on your body when you're killing the Ubers. Very important. Deadly Strike and Crushing Blow, so that's good stuff. Deadly Strike's also just amazing, especially with the Crushing Blow nerfs. Deadly Strike is looking better and better comparatively. So having Deadly Strike on boots, this is the only way to get it. Go Riders is amazing. Probably a best in slot boot, depending on what you're using. Alright. And then we'll just talk about the charms pretty briefly. So, you know, I'm a Paladin. I want Paladin Torch. I actually just found this today, just before we made this video. That was the first Paladin Torch we bagged today. Paladin and Sorcerer's Torch with high vitality so far today. It's looking good. But in general, you just want a Paladin Torch. You want an Annie if you can get one. It's expensive, though. I still don't have an Annie because it's just so expensive. At some point, I might justify it, though. Pretty soon, maybe. Unless, of course, you're specializing in killing Declone, and then, well, you know. So then you can get a whole bunch of life. I recommend life, res in your charms in general. Prioritize life and res. Maybe AR if your AR is low, but you can make up with that with Demon Limb. Make sure, especially on hardcore, you have your res stacked. Once again, 50 plus on Fire, Cold, and Lightning from Mephisto. Make sure you have life here. Life is important. It's gonna make the difference. Surviving sometimes, especially, you know, if you have boomer reactions, right? You're going to want as much life as you possibly can get. Life AR is important too, so like I have some life ARs. Those are very nice. Boosting the AR and that life at the same time. Life AR damage would be nice too, so like 3 20/20s, you know, something that's close to that. This is like one of my best charms I'm actually wearing on him right now. It's kind of a good example of a solid charm. It's helping with damage, AR, and life at the same time. In general, best in slot charms are going to be damage, AR, life, and maybe some res if you still need it for Ubers. But for mapping, you're probably not going to need the res because of the res on your gear. So you can probably just put on damage, AR, life everywhere. Or at least damage, AR, MF if you want to boost your MF like this charm. This is a good example of once you get of the kind of charm you're going to want for mapping, possibly, so that you can get that MF up as well, and you can also get your damage and AR up. As long as your life still stays high enough, you're going to want charms like that. This is like a decent damage AR lifer, but it's mostly just like a lifer. Now, since this is the mapping configuration, I have the Geeds on, but yeah, you don't want that for Ubers, obviously. AR life is just really good for Ubers in general. Damage, those kinds of charms are good. And then of course I'm wearing this insane charm right here to boost my FHR, and of course to shore up my res against Ubers. So yeah, there's a lot of things that go on here, but in general you just want damage, AR, life stuff. The more life the better typically, and damage can make you kill them a little bit faster if you feel confident enough your life is high enough. But that's in general what you kind of want to do there. And then I guess for the last explanations, let's kind of go over some alternate gear. So another thing that I didn't mention with the weapons, I actually forget about S Stonecrusher. Now, in general, when you're doing maps, all the weapons I talked about make sense. But 4-socketed S Stonecrusher would actually be probably best in slot for Ubers because of the negative physical res, and it would also rival this in damage. I tried a non-S Stonecrusher. It's terrible. It doesn't do enough damage. But if you can get something that does almost as much damage as Death, and it has so much negative physical res, and still has Crushing Blow, which is Stonecrusher, S Stonecrusher would be amazing. I think S Stonecrusher is probably best in slot for the Ubers specifically. But you have to get a lot of sockets on it because it's a very slow weapon. And you have to get the attack speed either somewhere else or on the weapon itself. It's very... It's got way worse frames than the Berserker Axe Death does, so keep that in mind. But if you want to chunk them when the monsters have so much physical res, like let's say you have Exile, I'd say Stonecrusher, Exile, and Shaft Stop would be amazing. You would cut through those Ubers probably so easy. The only problem then is your res, and like I said, if you can find your res elsewhere in your gear, you'll be fine. Alright, Demon Limb. We have a Demon Limb on hand. You use it before you kill the Ubers. I wouldn't recommend messing with this for mapping or anything. It's not really worth it. or for key running or whatever, but I would use it before you kill mini Uber bosses and Uber bosses. Adding an extra 4,000 AR definitely makes the fights a lot faster. Also, it gives you a bit of fire damage as well, which does make it possible, a lot more possible to kill those physical immunes as well. Alright, Soul Drainer. So, I use this on my Mephisto configuration, but also against all the mini Ubers as well. I use it against the mini Ubers in combination with this ring to shore up my strength, so that I can still use Crown of Ages. I guess I'm like lacking 1 strength right now, so I'd use this ring instead against the mini Ubers, and I'd also use that against Mephisto. However, for Mephisto, I slap on this one. And because I have strength on Thunder Gods, I can slap on this ring instead. So, the way it works though with Soul Drainers is amazing. Because they added negative physical res to it, this ladder, this is probably the best physical glove in the game. The only problem with it is that it doesn't have base attack speed. That can be fixed though. You can get the 10% at least with a corruption. And obviously this one didn't roll amazing. This is kind of my filler glove. But any kind of enemy negative physical res is going to be nice. It has life leech as well, which is insane. And it also reduces monster defense per hit, which makes your AR even more effective. You don't really have to worry about that drain life stat very much. It's as long as you have life leech, you don't even notice it at all. Like it's like so minuscule. It's really not a problem. This is arguably the most valuable like physical glove in the game though. And if you can get that negative 10 roll with like attack speed, like I said, you get like that could be an insane Soul Drainer for sure. I like using it against Ubers because they have insanely high physical res. So like I said, against the mini Ubers and against Mephisto, I'm currently using this in my configuration. I also use this against Bale if I can. Now, because my current configuration doesn't allow it, I don't use it against Diablo as well. But if you use this plus like Steel Shade, for instance, as long as you have that Fire Sword somewhere, you can also use it against Diablo. You just have to get that flat Fire Sword, which is the purpose of this right here. So Diablo, I put on Max Sword Doorstar with high MDR. And I put it in combination with Hellmouth where the Fire Sword doesn't vary at all. Flat Fire Sword plus the % Fire Sword means that those ghouls for Uber Diablo are going to heal me. Those Dark Lords with the meteors and with the fire attacks in general. And the more of them he gets out, the more I heal and the less Diablo can do. And then he just dies eventually. It takes a long time because I have no negative physical res on this current configuration. When the mercenary dies to him, which he almost always dies to Diablo because Diablo's too strong, he'll do it. But if I had Exile, like I said, if I had Exile, Stone Crusher, and Shaft Stop, and I mean like S Stone Crusher, like a really good S Stone Crusher with high enemy physical res. If I had all that stuff, I'd have Amp, I have more negative physical res, and maybe even if I had like maybe Soul Drainers plus like Steel Shade and somehow still have max res against him, I can justify a setup where it's probably most optimal against Uber Diablo himself. He still needs Thunder Gods against Uber Diablo because of his laser. Don't underestimate that laser. I think it's crazy, even with max block and high DR. It's really good stuff in general. So, yeah, having that Fire Sword is very nice. So that's why I have those other items in my stash here, so I use them against Diablo. Specifically, I use this one. If you have that on your Mercenary too, he might be able to survive Diablo a little bit better, but probably not. If he gets smacked, he's still going to die. But if you put that maybe plus T-Gods on the Mercenary, maybe he'll survive it? I don't know. Probably. I'll test some of that stuff a bit more in the future, but I think it might do us some good here. I have some other charms. Once again, I can swap out the keys so I can put on more life, damage, AR, that kind of stuff. And I think that's it. I think that's all, chat, for the gear explanations and whatnot. Yeah, having that sword against Mephisto, sword against Diablo. Yeah, pretty solid stuff in general. Oh yeah, wait. There's one ring I didn't go over. That's right, it's Nature's Peace. This is for my key farming. You can also use it for mapping too, but yeah, I was soloing Uber Trist. I did it in this video as well. That is an insane item there, the Nature's Peace. Nature's Peace gives you max res, which is nice for survivability, but I use it against with Nilithox so that he can't corpse explode me, as long as I'm the one that actually kills the monsters. So it does limit how much damage he can actually put out. That being said, I almost kill him instantly anyway, but yeah, it kind of helps out a little bit here and there. Extra survivability rings, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. I can also get that Oak Sage out as well. Alright. I think that's it for all the gear explanations. I can briefly talk about maybe how he performs. So key farming wise, he's, I think, one of the best, if not the best key farmer type because of Vigor and Charge. It's so good for those non-teleport key farming areas. However, for Ubers, I'd say he's probably pretty strong, and he does a lot more damage than Smite. Because of the Crushing Blow nerf, Smite is going to kill very, very slowly in this mod, and I think Zealer is just a better option overall because of that in Project Diablo 2 currently. People do ask about Smite a lot. Another thing to note is, like I said earlier, these damage auras are nice. These elemental auras are nice, but not against Ubers versus Fanaticism. Other physical damage characters can perform very well against Ubers, as I did last season. Frenzy Bar with Battle Cry and maybe a Life Tap wand is insanely good, especially if you can get that DR decent. Frenzy Barb is amazing. Of course, you can also use things like Whirlwind Barb as well. Whirlwind Barb is a little dangerous though if you don't have your DR up, because you could die in the middle of whirlwinding when you can't pot. That could be dangerous. But overall, there's a lot of builds though that can do very well against these Ubers, and Zealer is an amazing build. For hardcore, you can almost argue this is the safest approach, while also dealing a significant amount of damage, and it's a very awesome build in general. But yeah, I mean, he's good. He's all around. He can do it all with this build that I currently have on. There's definitely improvements you can still use. Like, I think the Exile, S-Stone Crusher, Shaft Stop configuration has a bit more promise, as long as they're really good rolls and really good stuff. Overall, though, this configuration works just fine. People also ask about Hawes. You can also use Hawes, but just remember, you need your DR somewhere, so... I think I forgot the Hawes. Yeah, you can use Hawes for sure. You need your DR somewhere, 100% though. So Storm Shield on a Paladin actually works. It does. Well, good stuff, guys. That is it for the hardcore Zeal Paladin guide. Very awesome stuff, awesome demos, and hope you guys learned something today with this guide, and you guys enjoy my other guides as well. I also have a Bone Necro guide for Season 2 out as well, and a Hammered In guide you can check out on this channel. You can also check out my...
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Hinjo, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Cult of Xana and Jouste. Also, in the future, we're going to have more guides, of course, so I'm just going to keep making characters. That's what I do. I make a lot of characters with items I find on the ladder and items I trade for on the ladder. I like using stuff I find. So we'll keep making stuff in general. We'll keep improving our characters and making new ones. And, yeah. Alright, guys. Just remember, you can always catch me at www.twitch.tv/darkhumility. For usually 7 days a week, Diablo 2 action of all kinds. We're definitely going to be doing Resurrected, of course, and we'll be going strong on Project Diablo 2 and LOD content, of course, in the meantime. Alright, guys, Dark Humility over and out. Let's go. Let's go.